Welcome to Mental Health Matters. It's me, Dr. Audrey Tang, with co-host Judith Crosier. But today we're doing something very special. We are joining McGrath, who is the owner of the Martial Method Studio. And we're going to be talking about the benefits of martial arts on our mental and physical health.
The Martial Method is a mixed martial arts and fitness studio. We also teach juniors here as well. So, we teach mixed martial arts, which is an integrated skill set. So that means we teach like kickboxing, wrestling, grappling, for the sport of mixed martial arts. But we also cover things like self-defense and fitness. So you can come here, you can do fitness sessions, which are non-contact classes. So for students who are wanting to kind of understand and learn mixed martial arts, but without the contact aspect of it. So they don't want to spar or, do any kind of training that may give them any injuries. We set this up in 2002, so I came here and sort of paired up with the Fitness Collective, and we kind of transferred this space from a yoga studio to a martial arts studio. The thing about martial arts is it's obviously quite a dynamic sport. It requires a lot of different things, so you have to be fit to participate in martial arts, and that doesn't mean you need to come in with a base level of fitness. It's about maybe starting from the bottom and kind of working towards something. So that gives you kind of goals and reasons to come into the studio and keep progressing. Another aspect of martial arts is you need to be quite mobile. So we go through lots of mobility exercises, help you kind of understand the body a little bit more, how to move, how to, if you're kicking, you've got to know how to kind of stretch and mobilize your hips. If you're punching, you need to know how to mobilize your shoulders. So I've taken quite a different approach to martial arts as I've got a little bit older. I'm starting to think about playing the long game. So when I was in my early 20s, it was all about fighting and, sparring and all this kind of stuff. As I've started to get a little bit older now, I'm kind of taking a bit more of a holistic approach, and I'm thinking about I still want the same level of skills, but I also want to be looking after my body for the long game. So lots of stretching, mobilizing the body, looking after the mind as well, which is another thing that we just touched on. I do social prescribing as a day job. So basically my day job is to support people with their physical and mental health, long-term health conditions, and sort of anxiety and depression. So been doing that for about 4 years now, and that, I guess, helps bolster my coaching skills. So, being able to have open conversations with people, support them with their mental health, and finding holistic ways to support people. We've got a set of core principles that we kind of work to here, which I think is really important. It's maybe what's missing from modern martial arts that we don't kind of have anymore. So, discipline, humility, integrity, respect. These are the kind of core principles that kind of help build and shape character. And I think that's really important when you're coming to learn a sport like this. And then obviously you get that kind of feeling, endorphins, when you're coming here to train. If you do an hour's fitness class, you come away feeling good. It's not like other exercise classes where you come away and you might be feeling quite overworked, burning out the nervous system and things like here. We have quite a balanced approach here. So we're going to demo a technique called the technical stand-up. So from a self-defense point of view, I think it's really important to know how to stand up safely. Okay, it's probably a really overlooked part of self-defense and also in MMA. So when we're grounded, basically we need to get up to our feet safely. So I'm just going to start on the floor here. Okay, once I'm on the floor, I have to imagine that there's some opponents here. So this is quite difficult to imagine when you're solo doing this drill. So the first thing I need to make sure is my legs are really important here. So if there's an opponent standing in front of me, my legs are the first line of defense to that opponent. So I can kick them away using my legs like this, okay? Or I can up kick them if they're leaning over me. But at some point, I can't stay here, especially from a self-defense point of view, if there's multiple opponents, okay? Or if I'm on the concrete, I need to get to my feet as quickly as possible. So what I'm going to do is sit up very quickly, and I'm going to post one hand behind me. This is really important. So here, I need to make sure that my hand is directly behind me, not to the side. If I go here, and there's any force coming in this direction, I'm just going to slip back down to the floor again. So I'm going to post this hand here, so I've got good structure. I'm going to take my opposite leg, so I've got my right hand behind me. I'm going to tuck my left leg in. I'm going to have my right leg extended like so. And then from there, I'm going to have my left hand out. So what I'm trying to do is create a line from my right hand to my left hand. And that's going to create space and distance between me and my opponent. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to get up first. So I'm going to lift my weight off the floor and make sure that I can balance first. So you're going to need, this is something that we do in our fitness classes. So you're going to need core strength here and balance. Once I'm up, I'm going to pendulum my weight. So this leg is going to come through and it's going to step right behind me towards my right hand. So I come up first, I can kick, and then get straight to my feet. This hand stays extended the whole time, and that helps create distance between me and a possible opponent or attacker. One more.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters with Audrey and myself, and today we have Lee in the studio. It was brilliant to spend some time with you this morning. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
So we've been wondering, what brought you to martial arts?
Yeah, so I started martial arts as a teenager. So I did Kung Fu at a well-known martial arts school here in Bedford called the Rising Crane Centre. I did that for about 3 or 4 years, sort of in my early to late teens, and I quit. So I actually stopped training, and it was a kind of decision I really regretted. I didn't think about it at the time, obviously. I just got busy with things like life, and I had to get a Saturday job, all these kind of things. So it didn't have such an impact on me straight away, but then as sort of time went on, I kind of kept thinking to myself, God, I really wish I never stopped. I wish I never quit doing that. What could have been if I carried on, right? So moving forward a few years, I was working in a very stressful job. So I was working in the ambulance service in the control room. And it was suggested at the time, like, well, why don't you try and get back into martial arts again? Because just the stress and pressure of the job, I just noted there was some character traits in me that I wasn't sort of enjoying, I wasn't liking. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can give this a go again and sort of get back into it. So I went back to my old gym, the Rising Crane Centre. And at this point, things had kind of changed. My coach at the time, David Rogers, he had done everything in the Kung Fu world, had done everything in Tai Chi, and he had kind of moved forward and was like testing out the new thing, which was mixed martial arts. So I signed back up at 23, and I already felt a little bit too old even at that age. I was like, oh my God, like this feels like a young person's thing. But you know what, I just threw myself into it as a way to help build my confidence and manage my stress, which I think plays a really important part into our sort of mental health, especially with men as well. And so, yeah, that was kind of the start of the journey. So I've been training since I'm 37 now, and I've been training since I was 23. And it's just over 10 years worth of training and just building skills and knowledge and learning what works and what doesn't, and testing everything. So yeah, it's been a great journey so far, and led me to this point now where I've set up the Marshall Method Studio, which is in the heart of Bedford town. So it's really cool.
Brilliant. So having done it at such a young age, starting again at 23, you weren't starting from the very beginning, so that must have helped.
Yeah. So there's kind of like two sides of it. So I had some movements and understanding of athletic and movement, if that makes sense, that was built into me from a teenager. So I kind of didn't lose that, but I certainly didn't have the kind of depth of knowledge and experience to do something like MMA. So, you know, I'd never done much sparring before, so I was quite nervous about that. And I'd never done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before, and that was a whole new skill for me, learning how to grapple. So it was just kind of like I'm completely new to this. I'm going to go in open-minded and just see how it goes. I had no expectations. I just knew that this was something I wanted to do, and just took it from there, really.
Having gone back into it at the age of 23 and to where you are now, what are the benefits that you personally have gained from your studio and from practicing martial arts?
Yeah, so there's been so many benefits, and I think sort of looking at things from a mixed martial arts point of view, I came in, I was pretty much starting from scratch. So, say for example, if we were learning a particular kicking technique, I would have to then sort of understand more about my own body. So I would have to learn how to mobilize my hips, my hamstrings, you know, how to create enough energy to put power into the kick. So you go on then a deep exploration of other things. So like you start to understand a little bit more about yoga and stretching. Then of course, if you want to be strong enough to wrestle someone, you know, you start learning about kettlebells, strength training, weight training. You know, if I want to make sure that I'm getting the correct balance in terms of training and training my mind and my breath, you start looking at breath work training. So actually the benefits have been so huge, because it's not just about the skills and the sparring and the winning the competitions or anything like that. It's about the doors that it opens. So from going from one skill set, you know, you start going on an exploration of strength training, breathwork training, mobility training. And so it opens up all these avenues to health and well-being that you would not be exposed to normally if you were just, say, in a gym.
Yeah, amazing, quite holistic then.
It really is, and this relates to your website, because one of the phrases that I love on that, it says, we don't waste your time on skills that are not useful. And you've just been saying that if somebody wants to focus on balance, then you can tailor it to do this. If they want to focus on something else, that's fantastic. So how do you do an individual program for people? Do they come and speak to you as a consultant, or is it just something that organically happens?
I think so when people are signing up, so I always have a trial session first, so they can come in and for £10 they get 3 trial sessions, and within that I start to look at the student and I talk with them and I say, like, what's your reason for wanting to participate, and are there any injuries, is there anything that we need to work around, and that starts to give me a bigger picture into their physical and mental health. You know, are they doing this for confidence? Are they wanting to learn self-defense? Have they been involved in domestic violence? Are they, physically, is there something wrong that they're trying to fix? So within those trial sessions, it's kind of a two-way thing. They get a chance to see whether they enjoy what I'm teaching, and I get a chance to kind of have a look at the student and see, well, are they a good fit for the studio, and what can I do to help this person? So from there, I start to build an idea of moving forward what I can offer them. But my sessions are tailored in such a way that it's a small group environment. So I'm always there to help people. So in a fitness class, we have a max capacity of like 12 people.
Okay.
And so that really gives me the chance to go around and individually support people with anything that they're struggling with. But as a generalization, I have a fitness class will entail like strength training, mobility training, and technical aspect as well. So punching, kicking, and things like that. So, yeah.
This is really good. And also, what you were saying about your own experience of at 23 you felt too old. You know, when you're 53 it's a slightly different thing. You can feel even older, and yet you can train the elite competitors, but you can train somebody who hasn't done something for a long time like me, and you're really approachable and really supportive. So
Thanks.
how do you shift your own mindset and thinking from that competitive, right, I know this person wants to be driven and this person needs a bit of nurturing and support? You're a psychologist, really, aren't you?
It's something that they do say about martial arts coaches. Yeah, we do come with a long list of different things. You know, you're supporting people physically, mentally, you're giving them support and other aspects of their life. So I think that comes with experience as a coach, to understand the student, to look at them with a critical mind and not a judgmental mind, thinking, okay, this person's not going to be able to do something, so therefore they're not included into this, you know. It should be for everybody. There's no reason why mixed martial arts especially should be reserved for the elite athletes, you know. If anything, what's the value in taking someone who's already, you know, ripped with a six-pack and going, hey, yeah, I can teach you how to fight, because there's not really, I can teach them the skills and everything like this, and they can go off and, you know, pick it up really quickly. That's great. But, you know, your test as a coach is, can I take someone who may have an injury, or someone who completely from scratch doesn't know anything, uncoordinated, and can I get them to perform these certain exercises and techniques skillfully? They don't have to go on and compete. That's not a requirement to learn this sport. People want to learn it because they want to increase their confidence, their fitness, and their health. So, you know, I think it's just taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, looking at your student and understanding, okay, what is it that they need and what are they asking from me, and how can I deliver that?
So just start on the floor first. Okay, so I'll go here. So, right, if this bit is going to be really challenging for you, don't worry, because that is quite hard, balancing there. So, okay, that's fine. Okay, this is what we're going to work towards first. We're going to break it down ever so. So you've got right hand behind you.
Yes.
Yeah. Left hand out straight. So try and keep your left hand out straight, because what I'm going to do later is with the kick shield, I'm just going to come at you a little bit just to put a little bit of pressure so you can feel what it's like. So what you can do, rather than jumping your leg behind you, you can come up first and then just slide this leg to here. There you go. So put it like near your hand. There you go.
Yeah.
So you've still got a good base here. Yeah? Then what we can do from there, still with your arm extended, is start to come up to that leg and then come all the way up. Okay?
Ah, yes.
There you go.
I know we've talked about this before, that you used to be competitive in salsa and Ciroc, wasn't it? That was your thing. I used to do competitive skating. And as an adult, having not done it for 30 plus years, we come back, want to start something new, but immediately the mindset's, I need to be able to do this. Why can't I do this? How do you support us? How do you help us with that mindset? It's kind of go calm down and think more like you.
Tai Chi is obviously a great exercise. You know, there's great health benefits to it, and if you're looking for gentle practice, it's a really nice kind of way of approaching that. I think in terms of if people are feeling frustrated, they're not getting things, you need kind of like empathy and time and space. You need to reassure people. You know, people are so hard on themselves, you know, demanding of themselves. I need to be this, I need to be doing what the coach is doing. But everybody's learning capacity is different, and everybody's learning at different rates. So there's no right or wrong answer. You know, what might take someone 5 sessions might take someone a year, and as a coach you have to be understanding of that. So for example, if I have people that have trained from, let's say, from a kid, and then they go on to coach, they find it very hard to understand why it is that new students don't pick things up very quickly. And it's like, you don't understand because you've been doing this since you were maybe 5, so you know, you've never known not knowing, okay? So you have to be patient. You have to understand that they need to build movement, coordination, and all these things first, core stability, balance. You know, they may have been out of the gym or not done any physical activity for a long time. So just be patient with people, show empathy, and just like take your time. And, you know, people will get it eventually. You just have to, and you don't need to expect them to be a competitive athlete. You just need them to have some self-improvement, which is more important than anything, really. So
take your time. You don't need to go too high up onto the bag. You can still make this, you know, depending on your flexibility to go. The bottom of the bag is quite hard because all the filling goes down to the bottom. All right, so take your time. A little bit more distance. There you go.
My legs aren't that long.
Don't worry. Okay, and in. Good. That's it. And again. Good. Straight in. That's it. Yeah. Okay, a little bit harder now. Oosh. Oh, yeah, that's it. That's the power. Yes, good. Yeah. Well done.
That was a bit low.
That's all right. Good. Oh, yeah, good power in there. Yeah, awesome.
It's all the horse riding.
Good. Okay, rest there. Well done.
We felt so comfortable when we were with you in the
Very,
studio as
yeah.
well, and that makes such a difference. Lastly, in the studio, I know you mentioned the 5 different things that your Marshall method is based on, and I think that's fantastic, and those key values probably underpin everything that you are and everything that you do, and we could see them come out. Do you mind, A, taking us through them and how each of those helps that new person who's going, I really want to do this because I've seen it now and I've seen them do it, but I'm really scared. How will those values really help us take that step and come for our £10, 3 sessions, gonna give it a go?
So the core values of the Marshall method were built on the fact that I didn't want to be like everybody else, you know, like I didn't want to pigeonhole myself. I want this to be quite holistic. I want to help people, more importantly. And so the 5 values are discipline, humility, integrity, respect, and honesty. So, you know, there's something to take from each one of those things, and I've had to experience all of them in my learning process. So going from, you know, say, walking into the gym at 23 and then getting to this point now where I'm running my own studio is, you know, that takes discipline. To get from point A to point B, you know, I had to fight. I had to. There was no, and you know, I'm not a champion of any description or anything like that, but my coach he said, if you want to go on to be a coach, you must get in there and experience it, because there's no way people are going to respect you or listen to you if you don't, you know, have the experience. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. You know, I'll do it. I'll go through this. So having the discipline to go through the training camps, to get in there in front of hundreds of, maybe even 1,000 people, and just, you know, put yourself on the line takes a lot of discipline and humility, you know?
Yes.
Going to the gym time after time, being tapped out, being, you know, sparring with people that are bigger than you, putting your ego aside and saying, okay, I get up and I go again. You know, it's really, humility is probably one of the most important things when you're doing a sport like this, to not allow your ego to get in the way, because it can cause injuries, it can cause problems, it can cause for people to become stressed, anxious. So to be able to take a step back and say, okay, it's okay to get tapped out and then go again. It's all learning. And obviously the other key core principles are equally as important, you know, honesty, integrity, respect, you know, respect everybody in the room, respect me. I'm going to show you the same level of respect. Be honest with yourself, be honest with me. You know, if you have these core principles and cultivate them and have that culture in your gym, hopefully you're going to attract the right people, and you're not going to have this kind of high ego sort of, I don't like using the word kind of meathead, but you know what the description might be, like people that have an ego issue, or people that are in it just for themselves. It's not about that. We've got to look after each other, build each other up, and cultivate that, and that comes first at the Marshall method. So
Love that.
Amazing. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you.
Lee.
You're welcome, yeah.
And we hope to see you more as one of our resident experts.
Yeah, happy to help anywhere I can, yeah.
Hi, it's Mark from Life Stories with Mark Hoberman. My show airs on E360 TV Fresh Takes Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST. You can also see my other show, Lighting the Educational Flame, which also airs on E360 TV Fresh Takes Monday nights at 9 p.m. EST. Can't wait to see you there.
I thought I would talk a little bit about self-care because that seems to be the theme. It's about looking after our mental and physical well-being. And very much like our guest has said throughout his interview today, sometimes you need somebody else to support you and give you that little nudge in not necessarily the right direction, but a healthy direction for you. And this is why I want to give you something called the Spices Challenge. This is a challenge that was given to me by one of our resident experts. It's Coach Sharon Lawton. And it's 6 different things we can do for our self-care. And the reason why we suggest this is because we tend to get very used to one particular thing only. So, for example, if you always go out running, great, that's the thing that you do. But then what happens if you get an injury, or what happens if it just gets a bit too cold, or there's a reason why you can't do it? Well, then what are your other options? And that's why Spices is so good. It takes you through SPICES, and 6 of those are very different things that you can do. The S stands for spiritual, and that could be your yoga, your meditation. That can be something which is a little bit more relaxing. The P stands for physical. So again, that can be your running, but it can simply be putting on some music and dancing around the room. It can be sexual intimacy, as long as it's safe, as long as it's healthy, as long as it's consensual. But that's another thing which again can both relax us, but it can also energize us. I is my personal favourite. It is intellectual. That's where you might learn something on YouTube, or you might read a book, or you might find some way of just stimulating those brain cells. Let somebody else do the work. Let somebody else teach you. Maybe you want to even pop down to the Marshall Method studio if you're in Bedford and give that training a go. C is creative. Now, a lot of people think creative is all about poetry and writing songs. It's not. It can be. But creativity can be as simple as doing something different with your hair, doing something different with your clothes, expressing yourself in some way, writing a journal, writing a narrative, any of those things that allow you to express your authentic self. That's your C, that's your creative. E, very important. E is relating to emotional well-being. And emotional well-being is where we connect emotionally with that one person, that supportive person who can be there to help you through those difficult times. Because sometimes when we want help, we put it out there on social media or something like that, and not necessarily do the right people respond. So E really gets you to think about who is the right person for this particular time. And then finally we have S, and that is social. That is getting involved in the community. That is going out there and volunteering. And all of those different things can be used professionally in the business environment, and they can be used personally in our own. So give any of those a go. Roll a dice, number them 1 to 6, and choose one thing from that particular number. If it's not something you normally do, that's fantastic, because that way you can give it a go. And remember, you're all adults. If you don't like it, you don't need to do it next time.
Have you heard of the term intuitive movement? Okay, what does that mean? So as a connection specialist, I'm all about connection to self. And this intuitive movement, connecting to your body, will help you on your self-discovery journey and also bring you back into the present moment and also elevate your energy. So who doesn't want that, right? A bit more energy. So intuitive movement. Now you can do this at home. You can do this anywhere, really. I like to do it in the kitchen, kitchen raving. So what you need to do, put on your favorite track. Put on something maybe that you haven't heard before, put on maybe some uplifting music if you're wanting to build your energy, or maybe something then a little bit more rhythmic and slow. So the idea of intuitive movement is right that. There's no set routine. There's no choreography. There's no rules. It's all about connecting yourself to your body and your intuition. So when I like to teach or to do my own intuitive movement, it's totally going inwards. So you put on your favorite track, some music to get you moving, and then you close down your eyes, bringing your awareness and your intention inward. And what you do is you just start moving your body however it wants to move. And this is great for opening up your body, opening up your energy, really bringing in the flow. It's great for aches and pains. So like if you're tight in the shoulders, bring your movement into your shoulders, rolling back the shoulders. Like do what feels right for you. Maybe you want to like bring your arms up and really get a bit sexy, get into your female energy or your own energy. Whatever gender you are, you can do this. So it's about connecting to yourself. Maybe you want to get down low onto the floor. Really explore and let your own body be the guide. This is a great way to connect to yourself. And want to take it a little bit more high energy, put on a more high energy song and begin to build the energy, jumping up and down, and then make the movements faster. And it's a great way when you're feeling a little bit sluggish, when you've been at your desk working, bring yourself into the intuitive movement and raise your vibration, raise your energy, and deepen the connection to self. Give it a go.
New research from the dating app Flirtini shows food is the biggest Valentine's Day nightmare. The survey of 2,000 adults from Flirtini shows that 17% have had digestive problems on Valentine's Day, with 10% even ending up in hospital. New data also shows that with Valentine's Day encouraging people to splurge on fancy and filling meals, 32% have eaten so much during a date that they had to unzip their pants. However, while for some the V-Day disaster was overeating and ending up in the hospital, for many others it was wearing the food on themselves. Particularly, 30% of people said that they had spilled food or wine over themselves or their date during Valentine's Day dinner. Walter Gerger, the Chief Wellness Officer and co-founder at Zing Coach, shares his top tips to avoid stress-induced overeating and reduce your digestive struggles. Mindful breathing. Take a few deep breaths before and during the date to give your mind some respite from the stress and anxiety. Choose a comfortable setting. Opt for a familiar restaurant or somewhere with a laid-back vibe, which will help you feel at ease. Don't jump straight into deep conversation. Keep it light and try to have fun. This will keep your thoughts positive and stop your heart rate from racing. Listen to your body. Pay attention to your body's cues while you're eating, and once you feel satisfied, not stuffed, stop. Choose stress-relieving foods. Before you pick a restaurant, check the menu. You want plenty of omega-3 fatty acids found in fish, flax seeds and walnuts, and a healthy dose of magnesium found in leafy greens, nuts and seeds. Grab a tea. Not only does drinking herbal tea, such as chamomile and peppermint, help to soothe the digestive system, but it also has a calming effect on the mind. Make a plan. If you're a worrier, don't just see where the night takes you. Plan an after-meal activity that aids digestion and reduces stress, such as a leisurely walk. Were you uncomfortable this Valentine's Day? Let us know in the comments.
What a great show.
Oh, amazing.
I mean, I know I was only doing a couple of kicks today, but that was knackering.
It did. You did a bit more than that, but yeah, it took it out of us, I think. If we're not used to that kind of movement as well, it's something different.
And I think that's the thing, and this is where the 5 disciplines that he really talks about, or the 5 core values, to me, they are really important.
Yes, definitely.
And because it is that thing where I know I go into something, go, I need to be good at this. I'm an adult. I need to be able to do it brilliantly. And of course, that's not going to happen.
Not straight away.
Because you've got different muscle groups that haven't been used before. It's techniques and styles which you need to learn. And the only way to do that is exactly as Lee said, and that's using the discipline to practice them.
Exactly. The discipline kind of is the thing that really stood out. You can't get to here unless you start here and go through all here, can you? So, and that does take discipline and determination as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing he said, and you could feel that energy when he was talking about it, was the humility. It's the idea of the fact he had to go and compete.
Yes.
And that is a big deal, because this is exactly the thing. If we haven't done the work ourselves, if we haven't actually experienced what those people we're supporting are going through, it is really hard to coach them in it. It's really hard to support them in it.
Yeah, so he was saying about the young coaches, they maybe haven't got the life experience, or that particular experience anyway, of not knowing what it feels like to come in, to get up in the morning and already be aching or whatever. So they don't get that. So yeah, I suppose it takes practice. And even if those young coaches haven't actually felt that themselves, they can learn to understand it and have that.
It's back to empathy again, isn't it?
Empathy or sympathy,
It really is.
I never thought about that actually, but young coaches, they must not experience that for a long time, and then they get to 45 and go, oh yeah, I know what those people were talking about.
Yeah, I used to do this exercise in training where I used to get somebody to do their shoelace up, but then explain to somebody else how to do a shoelace, but they weren't able to look at what that person was doing, and that person only had to follow what they were saying to them. And you got all kinds of funny shoes being tied there, because it's so natural to you that you forget that somebody can't do it, and you forget how to teach it and go back to basics. It's a real skill that he has, and I think that really came across.
It really did, actually, because also as well, when he was putting us through our paces, I could tell that he was assessing each of us. You're likely to be able to do that, you're likely to be able to do that. So even then I could see that he was doing that, and that's really skillful, because he'd never met us before. Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. No, love it. So, key thing that you took from today, there's a lot actually.
Yes, a lot. I think there's, for me, 2 key things. One is I really need to get back to doing some kind of exercise. That's a personal thing. But the discipline and the determination just to keep going, and you will get there in the end. And not to compete with others, you just compete with yourself. So as long as you're making your own progress, it doesn't matter that somebody else might be there and you're there, because you've come from here, so that's progress anyway.
Yes, so that's a really important thing, and that can be a word of warning actually sometimes if you're training with someone, because that can cause friction later on. I love those 2 points. I think that's really good. I think for me, I come back to the humility. You need to go through it. You need to go through it and understand it, and be able to take your ego out the picture and kind of go, well, what is needed in this precise present moment? And
good point.
We don't do that enough, do we?
No, that's true.
But that is what this show is for. So if you have a business you'd like us to showcase and have a go at, please drop us a line, studio@wellbeingmedia.org. But as always, from Judith and myself, have a healthy week and see you next week.